Okay, so now that most of us have had the time to tinker around a little bit with the project, I'm going to go over the blocks in a little bit more detail so you can kind of get an idea what some of the blocks are that you haven't tinkered with and what they do. So we'll kind of start with motion. I'll just use my cat. Maybe I'll also show you how to deal with some sprites too. Let's bring in another sprite. And we notice our sprites are all broken down by category and type, but let's just bring in a beetle and look at it. So we've got our beetle and we've got our cat. You'll notice that now that I have two sprites, I can make them do two different things. So if I wanted the cat to, let's say we want the cat to move and the beetle to spin. So let's make the cat move back and forth. So you see, let's just make the beetle spin. Let's make the beetle turn. Now how we get them to do that forever is in this control. So remember, we have this forever loop. See how it's kind of shaped like alligator jaws, and when I drag that step in there, everything in that forever is going to do it. It's going to do that forever. So 10 steps, it's going to do it the 10 steps forever. We can do the same thing with the turn. It's going to do the turn forever. And let's start both events with, say, when the green flag is clicked. Both of these things will start at the same time when the green flag's clicked. So there we go now. I want to also make this bounce if it's on the edge. So see where it says if on edge bounce? There we go. And I also want my cat just to point left and right. So if I click this eye right there, and then see how I have the arrows pointing left and right, that's going to make him just point left and right. So there we go. That's a little bit more. We're turning the beetle. I could slow him down here if I just said 5 degrees. See how much slower he moves now. And then the cat, we could slow him down too just by saying 5 steps rather than 10. Okay. So I can also point in a direction. I could point towards. Say if I want this cat to always point towards the beetle, and I would have to do that. I always wanted to point him towards the beetle. There we go. See how he's going towards the beetle. He went there, and then if I move the beetle, he'll go back to the beetle. So that's why he keeps going there and stopping. Let's move it though. There we go. Now the cat's bouncing around again. Okay, so that's what point towards does. Say if I want to go to a specific location in the XY axis. Say I want to go right to the middle. This is actually separated. The XY is X 240. You can actually see it right down here. See, 240 is as far right as I can go. Negative 240 is as far left. 180 is the furthest on the y-axis I can go up, and minus 180 down. But if I want to go right in the middle, notice when I click this, he goes right to the middle, and then he starts kind of doing his thing again. So I can actually tell it to go to a specific XY location. In fact, let's go to sensing. Notice how I can get the location. These are kind of variables that are embedded in Scratch. Let's say I want to go to a specific X and Y location. So now if I put this in here, see how it's going straight to my mouse. It's going straight to my mouse. I'm not telling it to glide. Now I could do something like, instead of move 5 steps, I could tell it to glide for a second to wherever my mouse is, and then it'll slowly glide where my mouse is. See how it's always going to where my mouse is. Let's do this. It's kind of popping up where my mouse is once it hits the edge. But let's stop that forever, just for a little bit. There we go. And let's look at some of these other. We can change X by, that's just going to change its X position. Now if I wanted to move it backwards, I could do minus 10. Set X to 0. So if I wanted to set it right to the x-axis here, it's going to pop up to the 0 on the x-axis, or over rather, I'm sorry. Same way with y. Now it'll pop up. Oops, set y to 0. There it goes, popping up. Obviously, if it hits the edge, it's going to bounce. And then this rotation style you can set, which we did here manually. Looks, we can say hello for just 2 seconds. We can say it indefinitely. We can think. The think bubble is just kind of like that. That's the think bubble. That's the say bubble. I can hide my sprite, show my sprite, switch costumes. Notice he has 2 costumes. So if I go to the costumes, see how he has 2 costumes. So we can switch costumes. I can change the color effect. There's other effects in here you can kind of toy with too. Change the size. Say I want to change the size by 10. See how it's going to get bigger by an increment of 10 every time. And then kind of some of these other things. Sounds basically the same. You can kind of tinker with that. You can play all kinds of sounds. The pen we've played with and messed with. The data we won't get into. It's basically variables and lists types of data. The events, so you can launch things by and start things. These cat blocks are how processes are started. So that's green flag. See how it went to my mouse when I clicked the green flag. Messaging is a type of event we can get into later, but message and broadcast all go together. It's kind of like when a sprite says something. This broadcast is going to be it saying it, and then this is going to be the other sprite listening for it. And we can get into that later some other time. There's controls, and so the controls we talked about forever. There's also repeat. So say you want to do something only a number of times and not forever. There's also this if. Notice how this if is kind of got that diamond shape in it. So we can say go to mouse XY pointer. So we can say go to the mouse, but let's look for if the mouse is down. So it's only going to go when the mouse is down. See how that's shaped like a diamond? Now when I put the mouse down, see how the cat goes to where my mouse was because I'm pressing the mouse key, the mouse button. That's basically saying if the mouse is pressed, then go to the mouse X, mouse Y. So that's that. This is if it's changing color, if it's touching, say the sprite. So let's say if it's touching the beetle. Let's have it say hello. So now let's let this guy kind of run around here until it touches the beetle, then it'll say hello. Oops, gotta say if on edge bounce, so we don't just hover down there. There we go. Oh, now he's saying hello. And he's still saying hello. I could actually, if it says hello, go back to the middle of the screen so it doesn't get caught there. So now he's going to say hello and go to the middle again. And then he should say hello. Oh, he said it again. Go back to the middle. So that's those operators. That's if you want certain things to happen based on different conditions. We can get into those later. And then more blocks is if we're creating blocks. So that's a little bit more detail about blocks. If you were having a little bit of trouble while you were tinkering, I wanted to provide a little bit more detail. So hopefully you're enjoying learning about Scratch, and I'll cut these videos as it seems like they might be helpful.